Hey there, ghouls and ghosts. Welcome to Seven Scorpion Tarot. I am your host with the most, and I want to welcome you to tonight's reading. So, for tonight, I've already pulled out a significator here. So, I want to do a reading for the moon being in Pisces. And that illusionary Piscean energy can be interesting to cut through. So, I wanted something to anchor into it. We also have Neptune and Saturn retrograde in Pisces right now. There's a lot going in my home sign. I'm a Pisces sun, and I want to apologize in advance for a Pisces sun reading for the moon in Pisces, as that might get a little abstract. So I thought we might have a little bit of tea time. I have some notes to keep my thoughts on track, or to attempt to keep my thoughts on track. Um, So let's get started. Let's have a little chit chat and then we'll get into some cards. I'm having some juniper mint honey tea, which I really, really enjoy. Uh, Peppermint is a lunar herb. Mint is Venusian, so not quite on the money there. But juniper, I thought that was a good choice because it's known as a guardian of the threshold in regards to its properties. So I thought that might be helpful to try and cut into that Piscean energy, just because there's so much going on. And even though Neptune and Saturn are retrograde right now, so dissolving delusion and illusion, there's still a lot of energy to get through in those outer planets. There's a lot going on out there. And Neptune and Saturn will be in Pisces both until 2026. But there's a lot of heavy mythology behind Pisces. A brief mention in Egyptian mythology. I'm going to attempt to pronounce this name with Hotmahit, uh, the foremost of fish, chief head of fish. Not a ton of background there on that. I was thinking there might be a connection to Osiris. It's in the myth of Osiris, when he was dismembered by his brother Set and then scattered across Egypt. It was a fish of the Nile that consumed his member, if you catch my drift, if you're familiar with that myth. So that led Isis to, when she reassembled Osiris's body, he was missing the necessary component to bring Horus into the world. So Isis transformed herself into a bird and hovered over Osiris's body and became pregnant that way. And so not quite a virgin birth, because they had been married before, but interesting that he came to be without them copulating. So a connection back to Egypt, and then goes further into Greek mythology with Aphrodite and Eros. Cupid would be the Roman name. So Aphrodite is the mother, Eros is the son, and there's a myth of them trying to escape Typhon. As Typhon came to Olympus to enact his revenge for being an outcast, for being grotesque and being outcasted. And when Aphrodite and Eros were fleeing from him, they transformed into fish connected by a cord. And that is where the imagery from the constellation comes from, I believe. And getting further into the qualities of Pisces. Oh, and there is also, I did want to mention the connection to Christianity, the age of Pisces, to Jesus. There is a lot there in regards to the background. I'm sure you've seen the fish symbol, the symbol of Christianity. Um, I can't remember which day of the week it was. I think abstaining from meat, but fish was okay. I'm not super familiar with that. Um, but into the archetype of Pisces, the yin and yang archetype, so the inner and outer world. So the traits of Pisces, some of them are spirituality, altruism, empathy, delusional, escapism, and sacrificing. And all of these can become unbalanced. I think altruism and empathy are wonderful, wonderful traits. But if you sacrifice too much of yourself to other people, how are you going to care for yourself when you need help? So I know that's happened to me where I've maybe overextended myself with interpersonal relationships, with work, so on and so forth. And then I hit a wall where I needed to take care of myself and I had no resources left. So that can be the shadow expression of Pisces is we give too much. And not just us, everybody does that. Uh, it's kind of unique, I think, in how draining it is on Pisces because of how far we'll take it and how deep we feel it. It's part of our core essence, and it goes further than our battery being drained. It's like my motherboard being picked apart and starting to come apart at the seams. And then, I'm having catastrophic system failures that could have been avoided had I prioritized myself first, had I put on my oxygen mask first. So, something to think about. So, with Saturn and Neptune in retrograde in Pisces, are there illusions or delusions dissolving around time or people's intentions? And what I mean by that is Saturn is the Roman name for Chronos, so the master of time. Um, and so often we get caught up in how our life is progressing. Are we hitting our goals fast enough? Are we successful enough? Am I getting the white picket fence in the house and the 2 golden retrievers? Whatever your preference happens to be. And I've found, at least in my case, the older I get, the more and more traditional timelines and that American dream, that picture perfect postcard, just not me. I've been chasing a life that is a delusion in my case. It's just not the life for me. It's kind of an interesting reflection to be thinking about, that I spent all this time like, when am I going to build this family of my own, and what I thought that was going to look like. Now here I am, completely comfortable in my decision to not have kids, perfectly happy being a fur baby mom. Love that. I love my cat. Maybe someday, if I can afford a place with a yard, I'll get a dog again. I think that would be great. But it's that illusion around time, that I thought I was running out of time to accomplish these things that I don't even want. And maybe that's compounded by Pluto being in Capricorn. Saturn is Capricorn's ruler. That it's challenging that kind of status quo, that practicality. So it's, multiple factors stacking upon each other. And then Neptune, the Roman name for Poseidon, delusions or illusions around people's intentions. So this is, I think, relevant to Medusa, to her myth, and I'm just going to give a trigger warning for anything regarding Medusa, the patron saint of those of us who are traumatized. I think her story is so, so interesting, and much longer than people give it credit for, because it typically ends with the birth of Pegasus and the golden giant. I can't remember the giant's name. But she's so intertwined to Perseus's myth, and it's really, really interesting story. But so what delusions are there around people's intentions? Because when she sought refuge of her patron, because she was a priestess of Athena, she was demonized for being violated in the house of Athena. That is the most blatant example of victim blaming I can think of. So, with Neptune being in retrograde, in hopefully much less extreme circumstances in your life, where are you putting maybe trust in people that could be misplaced? Just something to chew on. Do the people that you think you can count on when ish hits the fan, can you count on them? Will they do the right thing when that happens? I don't know. I hope so. Sure hope they do the right thing if you're counting on them, for sure. But a point of reflection, because you don't want to be, up the creek without a paddle. So the last note I have here, which I think is going to be what I read on, is, what is the waxing moon bringing to the surface that was previously hidden in Saturn or Neptune? So we've got a brief window of retrograde to penetrate those Piscean illusions. So let's cut through that and see what's going on down the center line of the self, and flip over into the shadow and the ego, and see how we do. All right. So the moon, we've got the Crow Tarot, Moonology, and the Lunar Nomad Oracle. So pretty. That the art in the lunar nomad is beautiful. Not that these others aren't, it's just different. Oh, justice in reverse, down the center. So, very Medusa. So, in the self, we've picked the significator as the moon. So, trying to anchor into that unknown, trying to see into the unknown. And such a cool picture of a crow there, the silhouette. So, this really, I think, embodies what Medusa experienced with Athena. Uh, and so the way I see her story is both Poseidon and Athena are the villains in Medusa's story. And Athena is like the boss villain. He Poseidon is like the intro villain, and then Athena is the boss. But then you get further into where Perseus enters the story and his involvement in the birth of Pegasus and the Golden Giant. When he relieved Medusa of her head, that was mercy. Even though it was the worst, one of the worst possible outcomes that could have happened, there was no going back for Medusa after what had been done to her, after she had been transformed into a Gorgon. And when Perseus was able to utilize Medusa's petrification later on through his story, I think that's representative of him being worthy of the antidote to the male gaze. So he was given this, I almost want to say gift. I don't know if that's really the right word, but this power of Medusa. And then cut to the end of the story when Athena takes Medusa's head into her shield. Athena did not get the gift of petrification. She was not worthy because of the way she treated Medusa. So, justice in reverse. And strength in the shadow side. Very apropos, is what else are you going to need in such a difficult situation? But mastering your curse. Woof. Here we go. Who was that? Is that the Ten of Pentacles? Yeah. Okay. Master your curse, and the rewards will come. Something fell on the floor. Where are you? King of Cups. Interesting. So, master of emotions. Master your curse. You get your rewards. And you master your emotions. This definitely seems like an and condition here. I don't know which would necessarily come first. Maybe they happen in conjunction. Maybe the reward is mastering your emotion over such a difficult situation. And it's all in the shadow side too. Mastering the shadow, that's no easy feat. It's kind of what Perseus did in a way, because he, depending on which version of the myth, excuse me, depending on which version of the myth, or fictional book, Stone Blind, loved that book, really liked that one. Um, he was trying to protect, save his mother. And there was a variety of ways the king absconded with her. And he went through all those trials and all those difficulties and had to do something terrible in order to save somebody he loved. Because Medusa was innocent in that exchange. She just happened to be a Gorgon, and the king asked for the head of a Gorgon. So, in order to save the life of an innocent, he had to take the life of an innocent. Pretty brutal set of circumstances. And that would be, I think of the turmoil that you would be going through if you were Perseus. Like, not just because of what your mother was dealing with, but the very Piscean conundrum of altruism and empathy of, oh my goodness, I need to take the life of another to save the life of another. That, say that, say this as a Pisces sun, would wreck me. And that's putting it very, very, very lightly. So let's see. Well, let's grab for that position. Give him a little bit of a break here. These all came out really quickly. So the Moonology deck. So these have some very good individual, like short messages and whatnot on them. This could also be timing too. I think this deck serves well as a timing deck. So let's see. Staticky. And the King of Cups has a moon too. Lots of moon vibes, moon energy. Oh, and Justice is blind. That connection to, her gaze turning people to stone, and that she can no longer gaze upon a living thing ever again. I hope whatever's going on with you guys is lighter than what was going on with Medusa. For sure. Rough. Highly recommend that Stone Blind book, though. It's in a similar vein as to like the Song of Achilles and Circe. And I thought she was supposed to be writing a book about Persephone. It was going to be her next one. I hope that happens. And I like to see that there are more and more of those popping up. I've seen there's one for Hera and Lilith as well. which I believe are the titles for both. Let's cut the deck. The answers you need are coming. Full moon in Gemini. So whenever that happens, I'm not sure when the next one is, because that full moon on Thursday is in Aries. The answers you need are coming. So maybe this is a new situation? I don't know. Or we are talking about a couple of planets in retrograde in Pisces. So maybe an old situation coming up. Something from the past that doesn't want to die? That you might need to be a master of your emotions during. Oh, and maybe if you can master your emotions during this situation, I mean, that's what flips justice into the upright, and then you get your reward. Because in the structure of the monomyth or the hero's journey, what follows the ordeal is the reward. So maybe that's coming. And, Pluto and Capricorn, that cycle, that 15, 16-year cycle coming to an end, that's an ordeal. Definitely been an ordeal for me. Maybe there's a reward on the other side. And I want to be all, philosophical. Be like, the lessons are the reward. All the all the effort you went through is the reward. The hard work is the reward. But like, man, it'd be nice to catch a break. Goodness gracious. Can I just get like, I don't know, like a gift card or something? I'd be happy with like a $10 Starbucks gift card. I'm tired. Get me some pumpkin spice. I think it's important to embrace the humor when we're going through difficult things. That is one of the tenets of the support group that I attend, that we embrace humor as healthy. So let's see, the Lovers. This is on the external side, so I don't want to be that girl, but don't make me walk the plank, but maybe somebody's coming for you. And the Four of Swords in reverse. So maybe you need some rest before you can engage in any kind of new connection or make any kind of new important choice, important decision, anything like that. So a couple of reversals. So justice and rest are blocked. Or this could potentially be an ill-fitting partner that is getting in the way of your rest or your rejuvenation. And evaluate that as appropriate for your life. You're responsible for your own choices. If you see something here and you feel that, yes, it's time to break up with them, that was just confirmation. I'm not telling you to do anything. It's sort of like Like when I'm trying to make a difficult decision, uh, flip a coin, and then I wait to see how I feel, what I'm hoping for when it's in the air, because that's what I really, really want. It doesn't matter what the actual outcome is. What I want is what I'm hoping for while that coin is spinning in the air. Because I know I've had some prior partners that have literally prevented my rest. I'm sure some of you have heard me mention PTSD before, which I don't mention to garner sympathy. I'm just, maybe there are things here that can help people. You know, I've been through some things, and if there's anything I can offer to help, words of wisdom, I hope they reach who they need to reach. But I've been kept awake before. That is literal torture. Uh, that was an extraordinarily traumatizing experience. Is from an ex-partner. Um, Thankfully, I have a wonderful EMDR therapist, and she's great. I would highly recommend, if you've gone through anything traumatizing, anything that would, make you relate to the patron saint of trauma, that would make you feel her story, please talk to someone. Um, I didn't get the help I needed until long after these things occurred. There are a variety of resources available out there. I am a big, big proponent of therapy, support groups. Uh, Check out the low cost resources. I know therapy is expensive. Not everybody's got the greatest healthcare plan. We do. Well, I do. I live in the States. So those of us that are here, we all get it. We get it. It's sort of the deal. But sometimes you can find grief groups at or near funeral homes. That is one place that I had looked for groups for a different situation. But there are resources that you can find that don't necessarily have religious affiliation. So I encourage you to Google things in your area if you're struggling. King of Wands. So this is on the outer edge of the ego side. The King of Will. So maybe this is what's pulling your sled forward. Just that will to keep going, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, which is no small feat. Totally feel you on that one. And it's got the lion, like the strength card. And this one's yawning. This one's just chilling. But a common thread from your shadow out into your ego and persona, that strength is carrying through and becoming visible. And it's a calm, collected strength. This gives me the vibe of what do they say, respond, don't react. That's what I'm feeling here. Is the benefit I found of EMDR therapy, one of many, um, in creating those new neural pathways that override and desensitized the traumatic, the pathways to the traumatic memories. It it gives you a different choice, a choice that you didn't previously have, because those trauma responses are involuntary, and I don't think enough people truly appreciate that. Like, if you're in the club or somebody you love is in the club, you have a much better grasp on it. But people can be so insensitive. And one of the worst conundrums I've ever encountered, that when I show the true gravity of my distress, is when I'm helped the least. What a bummer, right? That hurts beyond measure. Pretty intense feeling in that one. And it's unfair. It's unfair. But if we can become that master of emotions, then we get to choose how our message comes out. Because if someone is deserving of my hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, let her rip. Let's do this. You know, you choose your battles. I pick this one. Uh, it's not always, appropriate. I think that is best left reserved for people who really, really deserve it. That would be like for Medusa to direct that to Athena. It might be a somewhat misplaced towards Perseus, but like totally understandable why she would have righteous anger towards Perseus. Like, even though my interpretation of that is a mercy because of the life she was cursed to. Oh, birds. It would be understandable from her perspective why she might blow her lid at him. But let's see, number 12, birds. And they're out of their cage. So pretty. So there's 2 cages, and this looks like a moon, or maybe a window. It's like looks like a port window in a ship. It's got that round. And are these nightingales? They kind of look like that. Excellent book by Kristen Hanna. Tearjerker for sure. But there's two on the branches, so got two birds, double lovers. So maybe a new connection, a reinforcing of an existing connection. This could be connecting with an aspect of yourself, freeing an aspect of yourself. It definitely brings to mind Pegasus bursting free. But then there's four birds flying. 4 of Swords. So are these the birds that got rest and then got free? Maybe? Let's see what the book says. Here it is. Mhm. I got cut off. So, let's see what this book says. It actually, like, it cut me off at a pretty good stopping point right there, which I'm grateful for, that I get to learn how to stitch videos together uh, with the app I'm using in a way that, like, not so bad. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So, birds. We'll read the first part here because these descriptions are a bit long. So, words, companionship, meetings, conversation, communications, and click. Outside a round window, birds sit chatting on a branch, experiencing the freedom of warm sun and a gentle breeze ready to carry them off on faraway adventures. This is contrasted against an enclosed room filled with empty cages that would inhibit their freedom, hush their songs, and keep them from taking flight. Birds are creatures of the open sky. They follow an inner calling, the stirring of the wild winds, the beating of their little hearts, and the joyous songs that live inside. As a flock, they share their lives intimately with one another, embracing the security of company. When the birds appear, ask yourself, how am I caged up? When you are locked away from your joy, when your unique song is silenced, your spirit dies down until you are devoid of your intrinsic nature. Sadly, many of us find ourselves caged in and unable to spread our wings. You are a beautiful creature created to sing, explore, and rise higher and higher. Let the cage dissolve, remember your wings, and let the world hear your song. So it's interesting. Communication. I don't think we have any messengers on the board. So is there communication coming up from your dreams about some unexplored desire, maybe some long lost talent that you have? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. But let's get you a rune, some dye, and some self care. Get you out of here. Wrong one. Wrong touch. Rhytho in reverse. What do you stand for? Travel? Let's see. Let us see. Rhytho. Wagon, riding, and a vehicle. So travel, a journey, movement, reunion, and changes. I think I had talked about this could be a situation coming up from your past. So something to think about. So in reverse, Rhytho warns of problems along your journey. This may be in the form of physical breakdowns, delays, or other problems in transit, plans that go awry, or other unpleasant circumstances encountered along the way. If you can postpone your travel, you are advised to do so. If not, be prepared for complications and remain as flexible and patient as possible. Remember that oftentimes disruptions and forced changes in our plans can lead to new opportunities we had not imagined. You may be merely being rerouted on your journey to ultimately end up with an even better outcome than hoped for. Alternatively, you may have to travel for unpleasant reasons or to a place that you would rather not visit. If this is the case, now is a good time to remember that all journeys yield lessons, and you will have an easier time of it if you can be in acceptance as much as possible, rather than resistance. Rhino reversed may also signify stagnation on the emotional or spiritual levels. On the journey of self discovery, your forward motion is presently impeded. You may be avoiding some internal reckoning due to fear of discomfort or emotional pain. However, the discomfort of not moving forward as you are meant to will eventually become worse than the process of transformation you are being called to undertake. Magical uses: safe travels, navigating inner journeys, maintaining equanimity in challenging situations, and justice in disputes. So we had talked about like the rising to, I think that was this. Was it this reading? Might have been an earlier one. But rising to meet your destiny, or it was the um rejection is redirection that they had like mentioned in here, that I want to sound sage, and the the lessons or the reward and so on and so forth. That's not always true. Like it's okay to want more than just an intangible lesson, you know. It's totally fine to need your 10 of pentacles because you need a freaking break. So don't I don't know, don't get down on yourself for being a person with person needs. So maybe um, these die will yield some clarity on placements that some of these lessons could be occurring in, coming from. Um, Maybe some parts of yourself that might need some attention. Um, I think this is Sagittarius, the arrow. So your Sagittarius placements. Uranus. I can never remember which way this one goes. So we talked at the beginning briefly about Aphrodite and Eros. Uranus is the father of Aphrodite. So when he was mm, relieved of a body part by Saturn, and the blood spilled into sea foam, Aphrodite came into being. So maybe there's more to be delved into in Aphrodite myths. Um, a lot of material there, with the inception of the Trojan War uh, with the judgment of Paris. So lots and lots to dig into. First house, Aries, the body, identity. And then there's that full moon in Aries on Thursday. So maybe this lesson has something to do with your identity, with how you see yourself, and that kind of fits, with how Medusa's identity was changed in her story. So let's get you some self-care, because this was a lot. Probably gonna need some self-care going through something this heavy, whoever this resonates with. And everybody needs self-care. There's never a bad time for that. Can't recommend it enough. Oop. Hedonist. Bad omens. That's an interesting take on self-care. um, I love that song. It's a really, really good song. It hits hard. I recommend additional volume for that one. As appropriate, be mindful of your neighbors. Definitely a really good song for the car. I enjoy that. And the album artwork on this, so hauntingly beautiful. But whatever you're going through, I hope you get through it. I hope this helps. I hope this resonates. And if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.